Hi, Bhavani.
Hi.
Hi. Bhavani, first things first, thank you so much for doing this. And, it always depends on the host what kind of conversation happens. But this time, I believe that you'll have to take the lead because I've known very less about fencing altogether. And this is the first time I've known about, fencing. Of course, I know that it's a sport, but at the same time, I was not much aware of the kind of sport it is and what are the rules regulations etc all of that. So we'll start off with very beginning.
Sure.
And I want my audience to go with us through your journey and help us understand how you became the person you are today, the CA Bhavani Devi that you are. So we'll discuss on that part.
Definitely.
And of course a lot of humor that I'll throw at you. I don't know how good I am at humor, and I'm sure it's going to be very lame.
Okay.
But if possible, just laugh for the camera. That would be a great help.
Sure.
Right. So we'll start off. Tell me when was the first time you have ever seen a sword in your life, and how was it? How was the experience holding it?
So I started fencing when I was 11 by accident because that was the last option I had by the time I went to give my name.
Okay.
So I
At what age?
at 11 when I was
okay.
11.
Okay.
And in my class during my sixth standard, the higher secondary students came to our class. They said we have 6 new sports in our school and we need 6 members in each.
Okay.
So there was fencing, squash, boxing, gymnastic, and one more sport.
Right.
So by the time I went to give my name, fencing
Right.
was the last option they had. And I said, okay, take my name for fencing. And they didn't explain what fencing was, how it is played and all. But the next day, they took us to Nehru Stadium in Chennai, and there they introduced what is fencing, how it is played. They showed us the mask and swords. And I was so happy that I chose this sport because I was so excited to play with that sword.
Right.
But for a few weeks, we were playing only with the sticks.
Okay.
And then the real sword came only after some weeks of training.
Right. And how did you feel holding the sword for the first time after weeks of training with the sticks?
No, I was so excited. So every day I tried to learn quickly the things to play
To
with
get to
the
the level
sword.
of the
Yes.
sword,
So it was so exciting, so happy, and we were enjoying a lot playing fencing.
Right. I can actually understand this because I remember when I was in school, for the first 5 standards, you use pencils. And then after 5th, you start writing with a pen.
Pen,
Right.
yes.
So I used to look at my seniors and they're writing with the pens. And I used to be like, when will this, classes get over so that I can go to my 6th standard and use pen and all of that. But of course, a pen and a sword is different, ball games altogether. And for a girl from Chennai, fencing wasn't a norm. Right? It's almost like you have brought a revolution, not just for Chennai but for India also. It's not regional anymore. So I want to understand that part for a girl who hails from Chennai. How difficult was it, or how easy was it? How was your experience with fencing?
So when I started playing fencing, it was so much happiness, so much joy. Just every day, morning and evening, we go like from my school itself. We were like 40 girls were taken up the sport, and every day morning, each students will take the same bus from their location, and I'll take my bus at 5:30 from my place, and we will go to the stadium at 6, and we finish training, and then from 8 we go from stadium to school all together, and evening again 4 p.m. from school to stadium. So for 5 years it was like this until my 10th standard. But until my first competition, like it was within less than 2 months, and I lost my first ever. It was a school games. I lost my first ever competition, no, 0 medal. But most of my teammates, my classmates, they have won medal. So that actually pushed me like, okay, next time I must win medal in this event. And then I was training a little bit more seriously, and then. And then I won the medal in the district competition, and then we went to the state and then national competition. And in the second year of my fencing, I won the gold medal for Tamil Nadu. It was the first gold medal for Tamil Nadu in fencing in individual. So until district, state, and national, it was fine. Yes, there were some kind. The first difficulty was the equipments actually, because we were training with the sticks, and during the national competition, we had to do with the electrical equipments where you have the wires, the electric jackets, and we never trained with the electric jackets in the training. We were training on the cemetery floor, and we never used the electric jacket and electric mask. We were using a normal, we call it non-FIE mask and non-electric saber. But during the competition, I had to borrow some equipments from some other people to go to the competition. When I was playing with the extra jacket and extra wire which connects to the spool on the piston, it was difficult for me. I feel like someone is pulling me from behind and I was not able to free. Sometimes during the match I stop and call someone to adjust my jacket, and my jacket was so big that I used to cover it up with the pin on the back side because I was very short, but my jacket comes until my thighs at that time. So it is like too big. We don't have any equipment. So one person finishes the match and change the jacket to the other person. So first difficulty was this, but it was fun. When I think now, it was like so much fun when one person finishes a bout, runs towards the other to give the saber or take the mask, and sometimes we request the referee, please wait 2 minutes, someone is fencing now. And then this was the first difficulty. But after, when we started going for international competition, and I started to have a dream of going to the biggest international event, and which is called Olympics. That time I didn't know what it is called, so I just want to go to that biggest international event. And then we were not going for any international competition, just one per year. That also depends if I get some sponsors or some individual people. We used to give interviews on newspaper, like, I have qualified for this competition, I need 2 lakhs or 1 lakh, and we need some people to support me for my flight tickets and visa and all. And sometimes I get the financial support just few days or a couple of days before the travel
date. So you're
date.
even unsure whether you'll go
so
or not.
At that time we just have to run to take the visa and to book the ticket. And then financial was the second difficulty, and the third difficulty was the knowledge. Okay, yes, I had the dream. I'm training hard because morning and evening, whatever I could do at that time, I was doing that. But I don't know how I could qualify for Olympics or to go to win a medal in an international event. And because in India, fencing at that time, there are many rules and conventions in fencing. So we don't know. Sometimes we do some action in India, they give points, and some action, the same action when you do in international, you don't get the points. So we are like, no, I'm doing right. Why they are not giving me points? So lack of knowledge and information was the biggest problem I had, and it took some time to understand everything by myself and to reach the Olympic stage.
Right. I mean, since I've understood your foundation, of course, there are a lot of questions about Olympics and all of that, but we'll come to it later. I want to understand, how was fencing back then in India when you started? Because now that you've mentioned that these were the problems that you faced, but I want to understand, fencing is a sport, how known it was. Of course, when it comes to badminton, after Saina Nehwal won our first medal at the international event, I think from there we understood about badminton. But how was fencing back then, and what was the breakthrough? And of course, you were the one who brought us the breakthrough. So I want to understand, how was it back then? How did you bring the breakthrough, and then how is it now?
So every time when we travel for the national competitions, when we come, and many times we come with the trophies and medals, and we always used to wear when we arrive at the station, they want to take group pictures, and many people always ask us, which sport do you play? Fencing? What is fencing? This is the first question. It was there for so many years with me. Every time, fencing, is it a sport? Do we have fencing in India? Yes, I'm playing it for so many years. Yes, we have won the medals in national level tournaments. So this was the first question. Many people doesn't know there is a sport called fencing, and some people know there is a sport, but they didn't know that we have fencing in India. And there was very, very less funding for fencing, and there was no job opportunities like now we have in so many different government sectors. We have fencing in it. So that time, so many people didn't pursue fencing for some levels. Maybe at least from my school, like I said, we started with more than 40 girls. So every year the number went down until when I reached my 10th standard, which is like 5 years. Maybe I think I was the only one, or less than 5 people were playing that sport.
From your school?
From my school. So because they don't see any opportunities, they don't see encouragement, they don't see any awareness or any motivation for the sport, and also for jobs. Until 10 years ago, people used to play sports to get a job or to get admission at the university. But right now it has changed some a little bit. So nobody knew fencing, and there was no support for fencing at that time.
And when did the breakthrough happen? Like when did you realize that people are starting to recognize fencing?
So I,
Or are we still in that
I
process?
understand. I think maybe in 2017, when I won the gold medal in the international event in Iceland. So for me at that time, my goal was Olympics. For me, this medal, well, it was good to win a first gold medal for India in Olympics. But my goal was that time Olympics, because I need to qualify. I still have 2 more years. But after this medal, on my social media and on Twitter and everywhere, it was like a big news. Like someone won the first gold medal for fencing in India, and that's when people got to know more about fencing, and they understood that there is some athlete who is working for Olympics. So we started to get some recognition and some
traction,
kind of support from the government and from the people. So for me, I felt the more attention, more recognition came in 2017. So before that, 2015. When was the Commonwealth? 2018. No, 2017 for me was the first breakthrough.
All right. Thanks for sharing that. Now, what we'll do is we'll talk about more foundational aspects of it. What is fencing? I know. I mean, of course, I've done my research. I know, but then I'd want you to help the audience understand what is fencing. What are the things that goes into fencing? And explain us the whole sport a little bit.
Okay, fencing is a combat sport, and there are 3 events in fencing. So basically, you need to attack your opponent on the right target, and you should not get attacked by your opponent. Right. Like you have to defend yourself. And so 3 events and 3 different targets. And I play Sabre. Sabre target is upper body, including arms and head. And Foil is upper body, but excluding arms and head. And Épée is total body, from the top of the head to the toe.
Right.
So, but the Sabre for me is the fastest event among the 3, and it might look same from outside for people, but it's so different and very difficult. 3 different events. And earlier we used to play 2 events. One athlete can play 2 events. Until like first 5 years I was playing Foil and Sabre. But later the federation announced that one athlete can play only one event.
Variation.
So, and from that time I focus only on Sabre.
How did you decide on Sabre? Like,
because the speed. Sabre is very fast. It's very fun. Foil, it takes long time to play. You have to wait some. And Épée is more slower than Foil. But it's difficult too, because you cannot be more slow and be more attentive all the time. So 3 different events has 3 different kind of difficulties on their own.
But if you can let me know which is the most difficult you think.
No, it's not. It's not possible to say that. It's really 3 are difficult.
Cool. So we spoke about you chose Sabre, right? And I want to understand, once you've chosen, I want to understand the first game that you've played with Sabre. How was it?
No, I was so happy. I missed playing Foil actually. I was kind of playing Foil also in the way I played Sabre, very fast, very quick. I missed Foil a lot. But I was very happy to play Sabre, and at that time we in India we don't had the strategy of how to play a match properly. So at that time, fast is the only option we had. Whatever you do, you have to do it fast.
Right.
So it was fun. That time it was fun. Yeah.
What's the time limit? Because I've heard that for Sabre, each round
no, for all the event is the same.
Okay.
3 minutes, 1 minute, 3 minutes, 1 minute.
9
minutes total. 9 minutes you play, but after 3 minutes you get 1 minute break. But in Sabre, because sometimes the match finishes in less than 3 minutes, so you don't have the break. So for that reason, we have break after 8 touch. So
Okay.
whoever
Right,
takes
right.
8, we
You-
get
you
1 minute
call it.
break, and then we fence until 15 points.
Hmm,
So normally we fence first the league matches for 5 touches. There is no break in 5 points. After the league matches, the knockouts until finals, we
Right.
play for 15 touch.
Right, right. Thank you so much. But again, I'll get into more foundational stuff. What is a touch?
Touch is a point. Point. You
Okay,
when
okay.
you attack your opponent, when the referee gives you a point, it's a touch.
Right. So basically, you attacking your
Yes,
opponent.
yes.
Right, right. So that's a touch. And what
Touch.
other things? I mean, other terminology that you think we should be knowing?
So in
The
foil,
fist is where you
yeah, pist is where
where
we
you
fence,
right.
and we have the sword, saber sword, épée or foil, and then we have mask, we have a jacket, white jacket, and we have breeches, which is also called pant, and then we have to have long socks and then fencing shoes. And for women, we have chest protector, and on top of that, we have called underplaston, which is to protect your underarms, which hand
Of
you
course.
fence.
Right.
And then on top of that, we have the white jacket. And then for foil and saber, we have the electric jacket.
Right.
For every AP, they don't have electric jacket because their target is total
Entire
body,
body.
and their weapon is made in that way. Even with the white jacket, you get points. But with saber and foil, because it's the target is very particular. So if you, for example, in foil, if you hit on your hand, you will not get point, or your arm or mask, you will not get point. So that area you don't need to have the electrical jacket
Right,
thing.
right,
So
right.
for saber and foil, we have the electrical jacket, and then gloves.
With a gauntlet so that it doesn't go inside the
Yeah,
sword.
gloves. Yes, normally
Right.
you have to play with the gloves, and then we have a mask,
Right.
and we have a mask wire, and then we have a body wire which connects the sword, the electric jacket, and the pool, and the spool on the pist,
Right.
which connects to the scoring board.
Right, right. So much information I'm
No, it's
processing.
difficult. You need
I
to
know.
see more fencing.
I know, I know, I know. And one thing regarding this, yeah. So you mentioned eat. When you eat here, you just mentioned.
Hit.
Okay, hit. Oh,
Hit.
okay. I thought it's eat. Okay, okay.
Hit.
Okay, so basically we'll call a hit
Yeah.
whenever you hit
Yeah,
on
hit
the
your
body
opponent,
part.
yes.
Oh, okay, okay. Understood. Right. So now we'll understand your mindset when you're fencing. We'll talk about Bhavani Devi when she was training, just a school kid. What was your mindset back then? Of course, you mentioned that it was just about being fast. Was this how is it now? What has changed?
Now it's like when to be fast, when to be slow, when I have to start slow and when I have to finish fast, or when I have to start fast and finish fast, or finish slow, or which distance I have to start my lunge. Lunge is the lunge movement. I hope you know what is
Right, of
lunge.
course, of
Yeah.
course, of course.
So usually you touch your opponent, especially in saber, with a lunge movement. Can be a small or big lunge. So which distance?
What's a small lunch and a big?
Small lunge is if you are very close with your opponent, you make very short and quick lunge.
Right.
So if you are in the long distance, if you have a good strength on your quads, you can make very long lunges. So right now it's like more about strategy with which opponent I have to fence fast, I have to fence slow, and I have to maintain which distance, or which distance I should not be with this opponent. So it's more training for the mind than the physical.
So you do your research. So let's say
Yes, we
you
do.
have your
We watch videos.
and you watch with your coaches and all, and
Yes,
then
yes.
nice, nice, nice. What are the other things that you what are the other things that you do on a day-to-day basis as a fencer that we don't know even after seeing fencing videos? Let's say, what are the things that we don't know?
So we do train at gym. Like we do have weight training with like
Right, of
squats, push-ups, and all. So earlier I was not training at the gym. I was not giving importance to physical training. But since I think 2015, when I had my first injury, I was introduced to the strength and conditioning for the first time. That's when I understood how important it is to train SNC for fencing. Earlier we were just running and doing a little bit of warm up and then
Lunges,
directly into
squats.
fencing. But later I understood, when is to do the strength, when is to do the conditioning, when is to do the speed training and all. And footworks, we do a lot of footworks training, and even now, after so many years, footwork is very, very important, and we give more time to footwork training. And So we train 2 times a day. So morning will be physical training plus footwork or tactical training with the coach, and afternoon will be more of warm up, just general warm up and bouts like matches with the partners.
No, I was about to ask how does your day to day look like, during the training. But yes, we'll get back to your first experience, your first international event. I just did my research. I don't know if I'm wrong, but it mentioned that you got a black card because you were late, right?
Yeah.
I want to understand that part. What happened? What went wrong? And then there are also a couple of questions, follow up questions for that. So I wanted to understand this. What happened? What went wrong?
So I think I was 15 at time, and we went. It was in Turkey World Championship for under 17 category and under 20 category. I was playing in the under 17, and so it was my first flight travel, first international travel, first international competition. I was so excited. Of course, we had a team coach and team manager, and very few players because that time there was no funding. So only whoever gets sponsorship or funding travels for the competition, but has to qualify from the national tournament. So
And who used to sponsor this? I want to understand.
like I said,
like crowdfunding, or do you like have
no, I
any kind
weren't
of
aware of
foundations working?
crowdfunding earlier.
Okay.
Like I said, I give news to thanks to many news reporters because that time whenever we win medals, they come and ask us like, what you need, tell us. We will try to publish it on the newspapers or the magazines in the local medias. And many people have helped me during that time. I don't know who are they actually. They randomly they supported me, and which took me forward.
What's the government's role here? Because I'll tell you, as an outsider, of course, now that I've also spoken to Saina Nehwal, I've understood a lot. But I still want to understand from the perspective of how you got into Olympics and how was that journey. Because I used to think, and I'm sure most of the viewers, they think that you play sports, you're good at it, and then government starts working with you. They help you with your training, they'll help you with your coaching, and they will make you placed on different tournaments, and you go to different tournaments and play there. So this is what we think, right? This is what the government does with all those Olympic players, or Team India, let's say, in terms of cricket. So we think like that, right? Of course, we think like that government helps and government does everything. But then there's a lot of difference actually. The ground reality is completely different. Right? So I want to understand what's the government's role in general when it was back then versus how is it now. I'm sure it must have changed. So I want to understand
yes, so whatever you are saying, it's the situation now. If you're good, the government itself takes into their scheme, and they will know now they are hiring many coaches from outside, and they are making a plan for preparation for a bigger games. But that time, so even in Tamil Nadu, we had a scheme called Champion Development Scheme. Champion Development Scheme, CDS scheme in the Tamil Nadu Sports Department. And for that, you have to win a medal in the national level tournament. So, and they gave maybe it was like 2 lakhs per year at that time, and which we used for national tournaments or local competitions. But for one competition, one international itself, it cost like 2 to 3 lakhs with the travel and visa and everything. So that money wasn't enough. So for international tournaments, we had to look for
and that was your responsibility. That's up to you.
Okay, yes, because like I said, fencing was not popular and nobody was supporting even the federations. And luckily, we had a federation. If we hadn't have even a federation, things would have been different.
What's a federation mean?
Federation Fencing Association of India.
Okay. So, and that's based out of?
In Delhi. They are in Delhi.
Okay, all right.
So funding was the major problem, and maybe that time, because there was no kind of achievements were in fencing except national level. There was no any kind of international even the rankings or medal. There were no kind of achievements, and so maybe that's why the government didn't fund, or nobody recognized or gave importance to the sport. But it was not only to it was not hard only to get the funds, but to organize for the international event. For example, if I get fund, I need to take my visa. I need to apply, go to the embassy and ask for the visa. Even I was in aware of what kind of documents I needed.
Right, what the
And
steps.
then you have to ask the agency, and they might ask different documents, and then you have to speak to the federation, please give me this letter. And then maybe some letter will be missing. The embassy will ask you have to give it in the next 2 hours, otherwise you cannot get visa. So you have to run for that, and then you have to book a hotel next to the competition. So sometimes you have to find the cheaper one, not sometimes, always you have to find the cheaper one, but near to the venue, which is always a difficult thing. So sometimes we just try to leave the same day the competition ends. We in the morning we go with all the luggages and then leave in the same day. So organizing a competition, traveling, preparing, everything was initially was difficult for me, but later
You got the hang of it.
for me it's difficult now to give my organization to someone else, because for them now it's new.
Right.
For me, I'm very, very used. I know which documents I need for visa than the agency itself.
Right.
So I know, like, no, I'll do it by myself.
Right.
So yeah, these things were difficult too.
And we were talking about the government.
Government, yes. So government that time, even only this scheme was there. But so I think in 2013, former Chief Minister Jayalalitha Madam, she introduced elite scholarship scheme in Tamil Nadu for the Olympic preparation. So that's the scheme I'm in right now. So I was trying for this scheme from 2012, I think, and then I got into the scheme in 2016. So
what's that procedure like? What do you, when you say that I wanted to get into this scheme?
So you have to perform consistently in the national
there's a
level
eligibility
tournaments.
criteria
Yes,
for that.
yes, and then in the international level tournaments as well, and your ranking, and they will analyze your performance, and they will see if you're capable of going for Olympics, and then they will take you into the scheme. In 2016, I got into the scheme, and that also happened only because I had the opportunity to meet her in person. In 2015, I won a medal in Belgium, a bronze medal in the satellite tournament, and the news published immediately.
Right.
And the next day itself, my mother got a call from CM office that they wanted my family to go and meet her, and Jayalalitha ma'am announced 3 lakhs cash award. And I was supposed to go back to Italy to continue my training, but when we got the news, I'm like, no, we have to go there. And that I think the ticket was during December, and the ticket was very expensive. It was around almost 2 lakhs. We were like, no problem. We have to go and meet her and ask for the scheme. And then we went, and we met her, and my mother actually told her that we want to be part of this scheme because my daughter is working for Olympic Games, and she just said like to the people, please take care of that.
Right.
And the next day, all process were done.
Wow.
And that's how I got into the scheme, and that's when I started going for more international tournaments. Until then, it was like one tournament, yes, and after 2 or 3 months, I go for the another, and then I have to look for the sponsorship. I have to organize the training, travel preparations. So it was mentally, I was spending more energy other than my training. So it was really hard. One time I was so disappointed and so tired of doing all these things. Every time you have to check the money, and you have to book the hotel. Oh, I have only this much money. I have to book only one night in the hotel. The next night I will stay in the airport. So it was so I was so exhausted. So I'm like, no, it's too much also for my family to always push them hard for.
Right.
So when we got into the scheme, I was like, oh, finally. If not, I would have stopped fencing in 2015.
Really?
Yes, because it was really hard, because fencing is so expensive sport, equipments and all the competitions, because we have like 10 to 15 tournaments, and you have to go because you are aiming for big level. You have to understand which level you are in one competition. You don't know.
Correct.
Because some top athletes, they lose one competition on the first match, they lose. Maybe after second or third competition, they win the tournament.
Right.
So you never know what you do. So you have to keep pushing yourself for all competitions. So it was really thankful to Jalilda ma'am for bringing this scheme, actually this kind of scheme to Tamil Nadu. But later, now many states have started supporting sports a lot. You know, in many regional states, they have very good schemes for sports people and cash awards and building stadiums and everything.
Right. You know, since we're talking about Olympics, I think the trailblazer was Saina Nehwal. I think once she has won the bronze for us in 2012. I think the world, I mean, India started looking, to the Olympic side. Like they got, I mean, I know many people who never knew what Olympics, mean. And once she has won, I think that's when, of course, there were previously also the other champions who have won Olympics for us. But then when she won, I think that's when, the whole euphoria started of Olympics. And then India started to look towards Olympics. And I think a lot of governments also schemes, everything. It all started from Saina Nehwal. But fencing, of course, it's from you because the kind of things that you've contributed. But we'll take a step back and understand psychologically where is India in terms of sports today. Why is because whenever there's the next Olympics happening, the first question comes in. Even though we have such bigger population and we are not less in terms of talent, why do India perform very poorly in Olympics? This has been always a question, and it's to be honest, it's also a mystery, right? With so much of talent, so much of population, of course, there are many people out there, but still we perform very poorly in Olympics. Is always the question. So I want to understand, what do you think is happening probably that we are not aware of?
Um, I'm looking in the way that yes, in Olympics we haven't achieved a lot of achievements, but we have to look in the other way, like in fencing or in many different sports, there are many athletes are doing better things. For me, going to Olympics is like a winning Olympic medal because it is a dream to go to Olympics for fencing from India. Nobody have ever thought about it.
Right.
Actually, when I told to my Italian coach, I want to train with you to go for the Olympics, he told me like he told me, when you told me this, I was so surprised. A girl from India wants to go to Olympics and she wants to train in Italy
Fencing.
alone. And he
That
said
too for
it was
fencing.
for fencing, and because they never see any Indian athletes. For them, it's always like China, Russia, Korea,
Right.
like this, and they are like, for them, Italy, India is like okay. He was surprised and he was so surprised to see a girl from India. So I met him when I was 17 years old. So so for me, it's yes, the results are important, but we have to see how many number of players have started playing more professionally compared to last 10 years and now, and so many different sports, so many new achievements are also there. Olympics is, it's a pressure, it's so much pressure. Maybe Indians,
Is that why? Right.
yes, maybe Indians know only Olympics. Maybe for them the competition
They know.
is
I mean,
Olympics.
I'm sure most of us. We do. I mean, most of the people here, they do not know about World Championships at all.
Yeah.
Right, which is bigger than Olympics.
Yes. So maybe this pressure, maybe for some athletes, it's difficult to handle because I know there are many athletes who have won so many
Right,
medals in the World
right,
Cups, World
right,
Championships,
right.
but not in the Olympics. But for them, but for the people, it's like there is no medal,
Right,
but we have world champions, we
Right,
have World
right,
Cup team.
right.
So we need to sometimes take it a little bit lightly
Right,
and celebrate or support or bring more recognition to the other competition achievements
So
as well.
today, I think it's a problem of recognition.
Yes, because maybe for me, for the satellite World Cup medal when I won gold medal, maybe I felt that it was so popular or so it was on all over media
Celebrated
only
in
maybe
India.
because it was gold. Because the next year I won silver medal and it wasn't the same. I feel I am not expecting those
Of
things,
course,
but
of
I felt the difference from gold medal to silver medal. And then I won the bronze medal in the Asian Championship, which is more tougher than the satellite competition,
of course.
and which is also the first medal. And I beat world number one in the quarterfinals, and I lost by 14-15 with the red
just one.
card.
Right.
With the red card, not by the touch, with the red card. And this red card was still I'm still not agree with the red card because it was during the Olympic year, and the country I was fencing against, and in that year there were so many supports were given to this country in that year. So I was not so happy with this red card, but still for me, after Olympics, this is the biggest achievement for me to win a medal, the Asian Championship. So and not many people care about this, so I think we have to take Olympics a little bit softly, and also look other events, and maybe then they will understand, yes, we have more strong athletes as well. One day it will come with the Olympic level too.
Right. No, this has been very profound for me, because honestly, I've had many answers to the question that I've asked you, because when I ask a question, I also have an answer to it, but I've never looked at it this way. And thanks for sharing that. And of course, I understand where you're coming from, because when we are so much stuck in just one tournament and we forget all the other tournaments, it's unfair for the players. And I got to know about the tournaments, other tournaments also, because of Nandini, I just mentioned. She explained me, the hierarchy, which is more important, and then which comes second. And Olympic comes second, right? The first is World Championship, second is that, and third is your Asian Championships. But now coming back to the first question that I asked you, how was your first international experience? Why? Because you couldn't play it at all, right? Because you were late. So I want to understand that one. And I've also done some research. I figured out that there are 3 cards that a player is given if at all there's something wrong that happens in the court, or they do something, which is, one is yellow, second is red, and third is black. But I wouldn't want to explain it. I wanted to explain it.
So yellow card is like a warning. Sometimes they give just warning, or sometimes they directly give you the yellow card if you start before they say allez, false start. Or
they say allez.
Yeah, we use French words. En garde, prêt, allez. It means like ready, start, fence.
What is it again?
Ready, start.
No, I mean the French version.
French word, allez. En garde means position. With the prêt, are you ready? Allez is like start.
Right.
So if you start before allez, you get a yellow card. And if you do it twice, you get red card, and 1 point goes to the opponent. Black card is like a extreme situation where you throw your mask, and or where you use abuse words to the referee or to the opponent, or if you use any kind of equipment malfunctions. Sometimes there were very few incidents where some athletes use some kind of equipments where they go near the opponent, they get the light on their side. So if this kind of situation, and sometimes the same yellow, red card and black also goes to the coach who stands with you near the pist. So yes, yellow and red card for this, and I got red card for none of these reasons. But I was late to the black card, sorry. To the venue. So normally they will call you thrice during the event, and if you don't appear, it's like you're omitted from the competition. It's like a black card.
How late were you? How many minutes were you?
3 minutes. So at that age, I didn't know where we were staying.
You should be 15?
I was 15 that time. I didn't know where we are staying, how far is the venue. For me, it's like the coach tells us, okay, let's go at 8 a.m. I'll come at 8 a.m. And we were staying far from the venue that I could remember. And on the way, the coaches told me, like, Bhavani, you need to change to the fencing kit in the car. I was very shy that time. I'm like, how can I put the pants and socks, everything in the car? They said, no, otherwise you will be late. So I'm like, okay, I change everything without warm up, without anything, all the electric stuff, and with the saber and mask. When they opened the door, I just ran to the pist, and the referee said, sorry, you cannot play anymore. And I just came outside the hall, and I cried a whole day because I was very excited for the first international competition. And I was also more excited in my pool, and I had the last cadet world champion in my pool. So I was so excited to fence with her. And then this happened, and then I was very, very sad that time. And I realized, like, I should never be late to the competition. So whenever I started booking my hotels, my first priority is venue and the hotel distance. So,
So one question, I want to understand is, I think, I mean, I used to think that the venue and the hotels, let's say let's say a participant or an athlete goes to this any kind of championship, can be World Championship, Asian Championship, or Olympics. I thought it's the responsibility of the organizer to give you rooms and do your accommodation. It's not the
No,
case. You
no.
have to
For
do
the
it for yourself.
international events, no. Even for the national events, it's not the
Oh, okay, okay.
organizer's
So they
responsibility.
don't.
They will give you suggestions of the hotels
Okay.
and the cost details. It's
Okay.
the responsibility of your team manager or whoever is organizing
So
the
it's not their
competition. No,
responsibility,
no, it's not
right?
the
Right,
organizer's
right.
responsibility.
So I used to think when you guys go to Olympics and all the athletes, all the respected
No,
athletes.
like big events like Olympics, yes, there is accommodation. The
Okay.
Olympic village is there,
Oh,
even
okay.
for the Asian Games, village is there, athlete village is there. But for other
Right,
competitions and
right,
all,
right.
we have to take
Oh,
care
okay,
of by
okay,
ourselves.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, right. And you've never been late after that to
No,
any
no,
tournaments.
no, no.
Right, right, right. So you got your first black card and you were heartbroken. What happened after that?
Yeah, after that, after that, for many tournaments, I was traveling alone. And so everything was in my control. I always booked the hotel nearest to the venue, and I always on time. And and then I also, whenever I, even sometimes the federation or somebody else book the venue or accommodation, I always tell them, please book near the venue, or please make sure there is a transportation at right time,
Facilities.
because sometimes the organizers, they give transportation as well, but the timing for me, for example, if I'm fencing at 9 a.m, I want to be there by 7. I don't want to be more late, or if I prefer to be early than to be late.
Right.
But sometimes the organizers, they start the bus only at 8. So that time I'm okay to take a taxi at 7 or before that to go to my time. But sometimes when we are traveling with the group, or with the, if someone is paying for the competition, it's difficult to do that, because you have to stay with the team, you have to follow uh, the official transportation timing. But sometimes we need to know what we need to do for our competition, and what is better for our body to prepare. So for me, this organization has become more professional. I
Right,
learned
right,
many
right.
many things. And later yeah, later, I think that year that was my only competition. And the second year, I think 2007, 2010, Cadet and Junior World Championship was, 2010. Yes, World Championship. I played, and I don't remember which year I played, because
Yes,
I
okay.
played very very less cadet and junior competitions.
Okay.
Because I started funding from 2016, and before maybe
Right,
some
right,
more. But I never played junior World Cups. I maybe just one or two cadet competitions, only one junior World Championships. That too, I was playing cadet at that time.
Right, right.
So I don't have experience from cadet and junior. That's why I said the next cadet and junior, I think 2010. No, it's 2010, and in Jordan. And I reached top 32, and I lost by 14-15.
Okay.
And that year they introduced Youth Olympic Games. So Youth Olympic Games qualification is whoever reaches top 16 in the cadet world championship goes qualifies directly for the Youth Olympic Games. But I lost by 1 point. And that time, one of the Japanese coach came to me and they said, the last point is yours. Why you didn't ask for a video refereeing to the referee? I'm like, what is video refereeing?
Right, right.
They told me, no, you have
have a review.
you can ask for a doubt to the challenge to the referee's decision.
How
can
do you
ask
challenge that? Like, how do you do that?
You ask for a referee. You say
Okay.
referee like this, and then video,
Okay.
video, and he will check, and if it's right, he will change. If it's not, he sticks to his decision. So that time I learned, there is a video reference.
So you were not aware of that?
I was not aware
At what
of that.
year was it?
2010.
Oh, okay.
So that, like I said earlier, lack of knowledge and information was also another big challenge for me. And I wasn't even aware that it was my point. I was just so frustrated that I lost 14-15. But when this referee told me, I'm like, wow.
Okay.
I was more sad for this than losing the match. That I didn't know
Right.
that this
Okay, so
kind of.
let's say, so you should be, of course, there's a certain window for you to review also,
Yeah.
right? You can't review it afterwards.
No, yes. When he gave you the decision, immediately you can ask for it.
Right.
And you have two chances. If one is they don't change the first decision, you have only one. If they change the first decision, you have two more.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yes, lack of knowledge.
Right. And of course, and then you started playing for senior.
Yes,
edition.
from the I played more senior tournaments than the cadet and junior even when I was in cadet. So I think that was also a big lack in my career because I really because that gives you more stability
More
and more
confidence
confidence and you know where you are exactly because at senior from junior to senior the level is totally different. So you cannot for example if I win the junior world championship we might lose in the pools so in the senior category so it's very different. So my coach always tells me like why you never go for any junior world cup. I said that time I was still trying to get fun for one competition. So yes.
Right. You know, Bhavani, I really want to understand this. You go to different tournaments, you see so many athletes there from different, for different games again, not just fencing. What is your immediate thought? Did you ever think about it like these many people, working out and then, they are training for so long for this one particular game and they're coming in. When you look at them, did you ever thought about it? Like what happens when you look at them and what has been your experience seeing these many talented people in one place? How does it feel?
No, firstly, even in fencing itself, I always traveled. Most of the competition, I was the only one representing India. And when I see other teams, there are always like minimum 8 to 10 members or 10 players, plus 3 or 4 coaches, physios, doctors, sometimes psychologists. Even in world championships, sometimes the Italy team brings the chef. Bring their own chef. I'm the only one traveling with my fencing bag, just going for my competition, and then when I finish, I'll just come back. No, sometimes I felt so sad, like oh my god, I don't have anyone with me.
Do you get intimidated also?
Not intimidated. I just felt sad. I was not intimidated by that because my focus was just to play and do something, no. But I was like, oh, how? Because right now, yes, we are traveling with the team in some competitions, and still we need to go for many. And so also when my Italian coach, when he and myself were traveling for preparing for the Olympic Games. That time also it was just him and I. So he always tells like, look, they have a physio, they have a coach, they have a translator. They are you don't have you are the translator. I'm the translator for myself. I have to help you with some physical problem. I have to help you with your mental problem. It's like I'm only after
Like, all in
Olympics.
one,
Yes,
kind of a
yeah.
thing, right,
So
right.
sometimes some friends from outside India ask me, "Why are you doing this? Why are you so crazy doing this?" So because I think nobody from other country will ever do this kind of
Efforts.
efforts in their life, especially even the strong countries like Italians, because they are always used to go with the team, go even their visa. Sometimes I get surprised when some senior athletes they don't know how to fill a visa form because they're so used that they are with their
They're
group,
so
and
comfortable,
sometimes
right?
if they have to do it alone, they don't know how to do it. So I'm like, okay, somehow God gave me the strength to do it. So yeah.
But thank you so much for doing it so consistently over the years. But having said that, I have spoken to Saina Nehwal, and she told me the biggest thing for anyone to succeed in the kind of game that athletes like you are playing, is the mental strength, right?
Exactly.
And she told back then it was never recognized from India, as a country.
Yeah.
We never recognize this. Even now, there's a lot of taboo in terms of mental health. But it's really important for a psychologist, for a counseling psychologist, to be with the athlete to help support their morale and lift it up when they're down or they self doubt themselves. what has been your experience with those kind of instances where you felt yourself low or self-doubted yourself? How did you come out of it?
Um, so I totally agree with that, because mental training, like for me, even the strength and conditioning training was happened only from 2015. So
Yeah.
we were in that level that time. So mental training is like totally far from our side. So yes, nowadays everybody is talking like, yes, mental strength is very important at the elite level. It's the only way to win the match.
Right, right,
Everybody
right.
is physically and technically strong, but how we build that mental strength? Yes, it's so easy to say that you need to have mental strength. So there are training for that. There are process for that. There are it's for the training for my mental strength is different than the training for yours or Sina's. So you need to analyze that which is your natural strength, which you need to make it more strong, and where are your weakness, where you need to work. It takes time, like your physical and technical skill, and like you say, you need to have a proper team for that, because you get injuries. You need to know if you can push today or not, if you need to train your technical training today, or if you just need to do strength training, because there are datas, and with the advanced technologies right now, I have seen some athletes in other countries, they have so much data that they know what exactly they have to do today. Sometimes they just do footworks because their body is tired, or it's only
Right. They
in the
analyze each
right.
and
Yes,
everything, right?
yes. So we need to have that kind of team, that kind of system in a long way, not just 1 or 2 years
Just
before
one.
Olympic Games, or just 4 years before Olympic Games. Maybe you need to, for if you are preparing for LA 2028, you need to have this kind of team or preparation at least 8 years before that. So maybe we might lack in that kind of aspect. So yes, it was we learned a little bit late about mental health, because we are always with our own nature's will.
Right.
Yes, sometimes you, because Indians are working hard workers, and they always too much focused on their work, and which is very good. But if you can align that with the proper mental training, we might win all the Olympic Games.
Right,
So
right, right. No, I completely second that, and of course, I can only think how hard it has been for you also. Because it's very natural. Again, at that age, at 15, 16, it's very natural to have those self doubts and to be a little low. And of course, I'm sure the incident you just mentioned about how you were heartbroken about when you were late to the venue, and I'm sure now you're talking about it, it's very easy, but back then I
yeah.
can only imagine how hard it would have been for you. And I don't know, if I was, let's say I was a sibling or a friend of yours also back then, I think I would have been devastated myself, knowing that this has happened to one of my friends, or something like that. But of course, I feel that we are slowly reaching there. I think we are understanding the importance, and let's see how we are going to change about it. But of course, LA 2028 is nearby, and how's your preparation as of now? How's everything? How
So
excited are you, by the way?
oh, I'm very much excited, because I always want to. It's been a long time I went to USA, because usually we used to have one tournament there, but for past few years there wasn't any tournament in USA, and so I really want to go to USA, and I want to go to LA, and we are training really hard, and I'm happy with my training. I'm looking forward to play in LA.
If I ask you to define yourself in 3 words in terms of what kind of an athlete you are, how would you define yourself?
I'm determined.
Okay.
I'm hard worker. I'm independent.
And what you think is something different that you have that the other athletes do not, or is there a self talk that you do for yourself?
Um, the difference, I would say, is the consistency. And I never stop myself for any any outside words or outside distractions. If I stop something, it's only from myself. It's not
You
that,
take that decision for
yes,
yourself.
yes. So I
Right.
it's
Wow.
because like I said earlier, fencing was not popular, and many people. I was the only one, trying for sponsorship, going for competition, and so people always tell to my parents or even to myself, like, why are you doing this so much? Get a job, do some different course. Why are you traveling alone outside for for international, and also to my mother. So for me, I never bothered about those words. For me, I know what I'm doing, where I want to go, what is my goal. So maybe the difference is this.
Right, right, right. And how has been your support from your parents? How was that? How was your support? Because I'll tell you why. No matter what kind of support you get from the governments or
Yeah.
the fundings or the sponsorships, no matter whatever it is,
Yeah.
if your internal support system is broken, it gets really difficult for you to win those medals, right? And that applies for every industry, for every field, for everyone who's working today, honestly, who's working with dignity. So I want to understand, how has been that internal support for you?
Whatever I am today and whatever I will be in the future, for me, the most support and encouragement, motivation, everything came from my family, especially my mother. Uh, because I think if she hadn't supported me or encouraging me to follow my dream, I would have stopped fencing long time ago. Not only the support to achieve goals, but also she was protecting me from outside disturbances. There were lots of politics always in sports. From the district level, state level, and especially when you are a woman, people always try to stop you from going up. So when I was under 15 category, I used to play super senior. Super senior is like over 20 or
Right,
23.
right.
So people always tell me like, why are you playing this category? Stay in your level and all. But it was difficult for my family to pay the entry fees for each category. But still, my mom paid for each category. I played in all levels, and she never listened to anyone. She knows what I want, and she always, every time I want to do something, she always tries her best to support me. So they never asked me to stop fencing.
Right.
Even though when they had financial problems because of my sports journey, they never asked me to stop my journey. So my mother supported so much. She used to wait in the offices to get the paperwork done, to get the funds in time. So I think it's only because of her I could focus only on my training and work.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And let go of all the
Yes.
distractions. Understood. And do you have a sibling by chance?
Yes. I have two brothers and two sisters,
Ah,
and
okay.
yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right.
So everybody's in
You are,
Chennai. I'm the youngest one.
oh, youngest one. Oh,
Yes.
nice. Right,
That's
right.
why I have this. I had this
Right,
freedom
right,
to
right,
pursue
right,
this sport.
right.
And yes, and nobody ever told me to stop. Even my brothers, sisters, my father, nobody ever told me anything. They always like, okay, do try. Let's see what it comes, and
Right,
they always supported me.
right. So how do you feel yourself when you go home? Do you have a top hand by any chance, or you're still the younger sibling?
No. I'm still the youngest, and I always have to do the same household works like others. And even when sometimes when we win competitions, when we go back home, they don't care about what you win or what
Right.
you
So
do.
they humble you down.
Yes. They always treated you like a
Right.
sister, and it's always fun. Sometimes it's better to have this kind of situation at home, so that you just forget what you want or whatever happened in the competition, and then you come to the regular life, and then you restart for the next tournament. So which was good for me actually, but sometimes. And my mom supports me in the way like, okay, you don't have to do this work,
Right,
take
right.
rest. So
Right.
this kind of support were there at home.
Right, right, right. Any of your sibling complains about it? You're being
No,
partial?
no,
Right,
not
okay.
at all.
Right. So, we'll go to the next important question that I really wanted to understand is, you've been playing for so long. Did you ever feel like you need a break? Break from all this and, probably, just stop for a while or something like that. Did you ever had that kind of phase for you?
Actually, until now, I have never take a vacation or an
Really?
official break or something
Right, right.
like all the European athletes or even the international athletes, all the time they take. For me, the break is coming home and just doing my physical work here. So I never take any vacation or any trip to anywhere or even in India. And the longest break I had was during my surgery and post surgery. I had my shoulder surgery in
Right,
November
right,
2025. So post that for 4 or 5 months, I was doing nothing. So I thought maybe this rest is important for what I have done for so many
Right,
years
right. And
without break.
what more you have to do?
Yes, and maybe it is like a
Right.
proper recharge for the next
What
season.
happened? What happened about this?
So I had a labrum tear. I have been having this pain for last 2 years, and we had a discussion with the doctor. They told me to follow
Your
the
left or
rehab.
right?
Right.
Okay, okay.
My dominant hand. So they told me to do a rehab for a few months, and some doctors suggested me not to do surgery. So for 1.5 years, I was doing rehab, but the pain was still on whenever I increased the intensity of the training. So it was difficult because sometimes we have to train hard for competitions, sometimes we have to do less. So it's always difficult to manage this pain. So, and then last year we again met a doctor, and he said you can take 5 months rehab and then check again, or you can take 7 months surgery and proper recovery.
Right.
So we obviously chose the surgery. So, and because if I it may lead to dislocation of the shoulder, so we don't want that to happen during the important season. So that's why we did the surgery in November.
But I'm quite surprised because it's your dominant hand.
Yeah.
And how is it now? I mean, I
No,
want to understand.
it's very good. I did a very good. I mean, the doctors and the physio, they did a very good rehabilitation and strength training. Now I'm doing my complete
Right. So
regular
there's no
training.
inhibitions now.
Yeah.
Oh, great. So you had a break back
Yes,
then, right?
yes.
And how did you feel taking that break?
First 2 weeks was very hard. It was very like I'm not just sitting in the break. First week you cannot even go for a walk. You just have to rest. You cannot move your arm. So it was very difficult. All the time you are training in the morning, afternoon,
right,
and evening, and suddenly you just have to stay in the bed for 1 week, 2 weeks. It was, and then I'm like, why I did my surgery? What will happen? Is it correct or is it not correct? So for 2 weeks I couldn't sleep. One reason is with the arm, and other reason from the mind. But later I understood like maybe this rest is important for my body because whatever happened in my life, I always took it as a learning experience. This happened because something I need to learn from this to move forward. So I understood that maybe this rest is important for my body for working so hard for so many years.
Right.
And it's a good recharge. It's not like a complete break. It's only a few months, few weeks, and then but I stayed in Italy. I did my surgery in Italy, and I stayed in Italy because I don't want to get a break from fencing. I stayed there. I went to training all every day. I just be there and look others train. Sometimes my coach talks with me like how he gives me tactical lessons. So this helped me to be in a good situation and to not miss fencing a lot, and it's like I was training mentally. So this break for except first 2 weeks and the rest of the weeks and months went well because I focused only to recover well when I come back. I don't want to have any more pain or any other problem the later time, and it was good.
Right.
Good
And
break,
post
actually.
surgery, have you done any tournaments?
Yes, we did a competition in Korea, and then Asian Championship, and then selection trials in India.
Yeah, so all great now.
Yeah, all went well because the first competition was in Korea. That competition we were a little bit scared because after 7 months, you might feel scared to move your arm during the competition. But I fenced very freely, and I fenced well. I lost with 2 times Olympic champion in the round 64. But for us, the goal was to fence without pain and to fence naturally without any thinking about the shoulder. So which we succeeded in that, and it was good.
Right. And you want to break? No, okay. Yeah, and to continue this, I want to understand what's that one country which is great at fencing, or who's topping the charts as of now. I want to understand that because you mentioned Italians,
Italians
you've
are
mentioned,
good.
but right now, like, are they the ones?
Russia.
Oh, yeah, Russia. Okay.
Even earlier also they are very very strong athletes, and right now they had
I think
a
Russia,
ban.
China, South Korea, they've been always very strong at
Yes.
tournaments. What is fundamentally with, like, what's the fundamental thing that you have observed? So, because I'm sure you would observe why these countries are topping different games. So, what's your observation?
So one thing is, so they have been playing this sport. I'm seeing from the fencing perspective. In fencing, they are so they have so many achievers from so many years. So, for example, in India right now, I'm the only one for the Olympics. So, if you look at China, maybe there are hundreds of Olympians. There are hundreds of Olympic medalists. So maybe we started like 44 years in India. When I won the gold medal in 2018, it was in a Commonwealth. I won a gold medal in 2018 Commonwealth, which is a 44-year historical break of a Commonwealth period in India. So
You won 2 Commonwealths as of now.
yes.
Right?
So in 2018, it was first gold medal, which is like a 44-year history for Indian fencing. So maybe Russia or China, they are
They've
like
all
100
started
years,
far. Okay, right.
100 years before. That's why they are more easy to win medals than us.
First mover advantage.
Yes, because they know what it takes to win medal. They know what kind of training is needed, and funding is always the basic. So we have started funding only from recent years. So we have a long way to go for that. We need to have this support for longer period,
Right.
not for 10 years.
We are coming
not
back
for-
again
yeah.
to the same, Right. Understood. And who has been your toughest? No, we'll start off with what has been your toughest tournament so far. Like one tournament that you found it's the toughest.
For me, the toughest was the last Olympic qualification. It's not the level of the players, because for me the level was everybody was almost equal, but because of the intensity of the competition, because it was the Olympic qualification and only the first place goes. So for me, that competition was the toughest one. Rest of the competition, all other competitions are always tough, but the most important opponent is yourself. Even in that competition, it's the same, but still because it has the value of Olympics in it, so it gives extra pressure.
Right, pressure. Well, I want to understand, do we have a luck factor in such intensity games? I want to really understand, because in different fields we know that there's a certain luck, we call it, right? But I want to understand, in your particular game, in fencing, let's say, is there a luck factor by any chance, even that little bit?
Yes, for me, it can be the fixtures. Fixtures is like what kind of opponents you're getting until the quarterfinals or semifinals or finals. Sometimes all the tough opponents are in one side. You might be, in a better side. Sometimes, if you're unlucky, you may, like in Korea, I faced the Olympic medalists in the first round. So sometimes for me, the luck is this way.
Understood. And who has been your toughest opponent throughout your years?
Myself. It's always been myself, because every opponent is same. You always have to prepare yourself with the strategy and everything, but how you're doing it depends on yourself. How I am doing my strategy. If I'm confident in it, if I'm not, if it's right, if it's wrong, it's different. But if it's right but you're not doing it 100%, then it's
Right,
difficult,
right, right. This because now that you've answered this question, your toughest opponent is
I
yourself.
think I need to answer my
Yeah, yeah,
one
please,
second.
please. Yeah, yeah.
Hello.
Oh, yeah, we'll take another 5 minutes. We'll be done.
ஹலோ இது கிளம்புறேன் சரி 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 வந்துரு முடிய போகுது ஆமாம் நான் லேட்டாக வந்தேம்மா டிராஃபிக் பயங்கரமாக டிராஃபிக் ஆகிடுச்சு வரும்போது மழை பெஞ்சதுனால வரேன் சரி இந்த அனுப்புகிறேன் வரேன் சரி வரேன் சவுண்ட் இல்லை கேட்குது சரி வரேன் I think we need to finish soon.
Yeah,
Yes.
we'll take another 5 minutes.
No. I think 2 minutes is better.
Ah, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. We'll roll. Okay, that's cool. Yeah. So now that you've mentioned that you yourself are your toughest opponent, I really want to get into this space and understand your mantra. What's your mantra for your games? What is it that you talk to yourself? How do you approach and how do you go to that? You mentioned what was that? What's your pist, right? So when you go to that pist, what is your mantra that you keep in your mind before going there?
Believe in yourself.
Well, thank you so much. It has been great talking to you. You gave me 2 minutes. I wrapped up in 30 seconds.
Thank you.
But yeah, that's because we have to do post pictures. But yeah, thank you so much, Bhavani Devi. All the best
Thank you
for
so
the
much.
next 2028 LA. And I definitely want to talk about it then once you're done finishing and bring the medal home. Don't take pressure. I know what it takes. But yes, if you have given your 100% and you're back here in India, we'll definitely talk about it.
Sure.
And thank you so much. It was great having you here.
Thank you
with
so
us.
much for having me.
Yeah.